my name's Scott. It's he, him. And what is your gender? And I go, what does it look like?
Yeah. Well, and then you pull up your skirt and show them your huge gaping gash.
Yeah.
Which is sexual harassment.
Right. And yeah, what does it look like, Scott? He's like, well, you look like a girl. I'm like, oh, I don't know what a girl looks like, Scott. What does a woman
what does the girl feel like? Maybe you should Scott. Why don't you stick your
Scott, I can't tell if a woman until you crawl up on top of me and with that big Scott. Scott, could you put that big in my ass to let me know I'm a woman, Scott?
I thought we'll have a clear picture, Scott.
You know, Scott, you can make a woman out of me this afternoon over lunch, Scott. Trixie and Mattel LLC
with that big, huge, oily and
yeah. Scott. Jane,
go back. Nobody's going to...
Scott, I'm still waiting for you to slide that oily down my throat. Scott, my pronouns are guzzler and guzzler, Scott.
By the way, shut up.
Whenever
shut
we
your
choose
mouth,
a woman's name,
is it okay if I pull out my big so we can talk about how long it actually is?
Scott, yesterday when you called me a guzzler, you also forgot to mention that I was a load receptacle from behind, Scott. And Scott,
I don't appreciate my back hole being completely overlooked.
My mouth is just like my ass, Scott. I would say I clean one more the other. You can decide, Scott. You know, poor Scott.
Poor Scott.
But something
Who's
else.
naming their kid Scott?
A lot of people, white people. Why don't you clean up your face, Scott?
Scott, why don't you wipe your face off before you come me,
Scott? Why use a Scott when my hole's right here? I just push it out, and you can use my as a ShamWow, Scott.
That's the line.
But I must be Scott.
Yeah,
like, you know what I mean?
Am I a guzzling front and back hole like receptacle taker?
Yeah, maybe we've been beautiful and you guys have been shallow.
Bye. Scott, we're done with the pod now. You can come plug my hole.
Scott, bring the machine in, Scott.
Hook that jelly up to the fax machine and let me have it,
The kicker is Scott's a sound guy. You know what I mean? The whole time.
I know. Sorry, Scott.
Sorry,
Goodbye.
Scott.